Good evening and welcome to East End News on LTV, delivering the news you need through the power of public access television. I'm Christine Sampson. In East Hampton Village, non-resident parking permits are almost all sold out. We checked in with Village Administrator Marco Spalladrone for the latest on this topic.
We've got a couple hundred left, and it'll sell out fairly quickly.
That's Marco Spalladrone, East Hampton Village Administrator, speaking about the number of full-season beach parking passes available for purchase at a cost of $750 each for non-residents. If you live outside the village and miss your chance, your next opportunity starts May 1st, when a limited number of single-month passes will be sold, or else you'll pay a day rate of $50 for parking. New this year for all beach permit holders in East Hampton Village is the return of the physical sticker for your car.
The only change this year that we did was to make sure that our TCOs both now have a visual and in addition to sometimes they're just walking around with a handheld machine and they need to visualize very quickly whether they have a pass. So the non-resident beach passes now are back, in a sense, the actual live stickers versus just being all digital.
Also this year, for the first time, parking permits will be required for those planning to drive their cars to the popular Tuesday night concerts at Main Beach. All in all, Mr. Spalladrone says, it'll be another great year to enjoy the beaches in East Hampton Village.
We're starting to get excited again talking about our beaches. We're expanding our Junior Lifeguard program for parents, obviously. It's been a hit in the last few years. Drew Smith has done an incredible job at our beaches. He's our chief lifeguard. We're fixing up our beach buildings, restrooms and things like that. Obviously, the type of services that residents would expect at Village beaches, and what separates us really from all the other kind of beaches out there.
Thanks again to Mr. Spalladrone for those updates. In other local news, reports that the Elizabeth Morton National Wildlife Refuge has been impacted by federal employee layoffs appear to be largely rumors for now. 27east.com reports this week that the trails, parking lot, and restrooms are still open, despite reports on social media that at least one employee of the popular Noyac Wildlife Viewing Spot was among hundreds at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service who lost their jobs last week. While this was confirmed by a 27 East reporter during multiple visits to the wildlife refuge, it was also noted that there were no park employees present during those times. The hallways and classrooms of local schools were filled with Purple Hearts and messages of support in honor of P.S. I Love You Day, which is celebrated annually on the second Friday in February as a way to reduce the stigma around seeking mental health care. Students and teachers at East Hampton High School, Southampton Elementary School, Pearson Middle School, and the Bridgehampton School were encouraged to wear purple and carry out acts of kindness. There were plenty of treats like hot chocolate, cookies, and donuts to go around. These photos were shared with us by school administrators who say the messages of P.S. I Love You Day were very well received. The organization was established in 2010 by a family who experienced the tragedy of a loved one's suicide and works to raise awareness of mental health across the nation. There's a special election coming up on Southampton Town on March 18th. When voters head to the polls that day, they will encounter a brand new type of voting machine. Ahead of this special election, Southampton Town officials are offering demonstration days when voters can get an early look at the new machines and try them out before casting their actual ballots. On March 1st at the West Hampton VFW post, demonstration hours are from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 4 to 8 p.m. On March 2nd, the machines will be available to test out from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Southampton Arts Center. And on March 6th, demo hours will be at the Hampton Bays Senior Center from 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Early voting starts March 8th and Election Day is March 18th. The two candidates are Rick Martell and John Leonard for the remainder of the term vacated by Tommy John Schivoni, who is now serving in the New York State Assembly. In East Hampton Village, police have arrested a 24-year-old man on charges of felony drug possession. Law enforcement officials announced this week that Kevin Montano of East Hampton is facing 2 charges of criminal possession of a controlled substance after police allegedly found 53 grams of a white substance that later field tested for positive for cocaine and fentanyl. Police stopped Mr. Montano on Montauk Highway near Cove Hollow Road just before 10 p.m. on February 21st for what they said was a broken headlight. The defendant reportedly gave police a fake ID at first and was later said to be driving with a revoked license. Mr. Montana was assigned supervised release by East Hampton Town Justice David Filer and is due back in court after the Suffolk County Crime Lab completes further analysis on the white substance allegedly found in his possession. It's time now to find out what's happening on the East End. This is our edition of our community calendar brought to you by our official content partner, the Express News Group, covering the East End in print and online at 27east.com.
On Saturday, March 1st at 7 p.m., Guildhall and Hampton's Film present a screening of the 1976 film All the President's Men, followed by a talk with Hampton's Film co-chair Alec Baldwin and artistic director David Nugent. Tickets cost $25 or $22.50 for Guildhall members. On Monday, March 3rd, the East Hampton Library hosts a birding expert for a talk on the wintertime courtship habits of Long Island's ducks and geese. This educational event starts at 6 p.m. and is free to attend. On Friday, March 7th, get your pajamas on and head down to the Children's Museum of the East End in Bridgehampton, where the popular Pizza and Pajama Party returns at 5 p.m. for kids 2 to 8 years old. Sign up is online at cme.org. You must be a member to attend. On Saturday, March 8th, the Peconic Land Trust in Southampton will host a talk titled Long Island Grown, with the newest crop of East End entrepreneurial farmers who are growing food for your table. Tickets cost $20 and can be found online at peconiclandtrust.org. And finally, right here at LTV Studios on Saturday, March 8th, an all-star lineup of jazz musicians takes the stage as a celebration of Women's History Month. Not only are all of our musicians female, but they'll also be performing works by notable women composers, too. General admission and VIP tickets can be found at ltveh.org. We hope to see you there.
And if you're looking for more things to do this weekend, here's another possibility: a unique exhibit at the church in Sag Harbor. Let's take a closer look. This is a sound you don't hear too much anymore: the clickety-clack of a typewriter. And right now, you can see a wide variety of them, some more than a century old, on display at the church in Sag Harbor.
Every year, we try to do one show that's on what we call material culture. Material culture generally refers to the life of things, so not necessarily fine art, but exploration of objects from everyday life. This year, we've chosen to celebrate and explore the form of the typewriter. Certainly, typewriters are a machine that fits within this element of being something that we relate to the past and having a life that records our history. Not necessarily a very progressive object, is it? It's been completely replaced in many ways by the computer. Having said that, it really contributed so much to the way that art, language, film, cinema, movement happened, even commerce, money, the development of culture in the Western world, especially in the 19th century, owed so much to this machine.
These antique beauties happen to be on loan from a pretty well-known person, the actor Tom Hanks, who handpicked 35 from his personal collection to share with the community here.
So it came about because there was a documentary that was screened a couple of years ago that our co-founder Eric Fischel saw. The name of that film is California Typewriter, and Tom Hanks is one of the people featured in that film. So Eric came to me and said, "What do you think about typewriters for the next show?" And I said, "Yeah, I think that would be great." And he said, what about Tom Hanks's typewriters?" And I said, that would be amazing. Could we actually do that?
And they did it, with the help of curator Simon Doonan, who created an interpretive art piece for the show as well. Some of Tom's typewriters, and its sister exhibit, Some Odes, a related collection of paintings by Sam Messer, are on display through March 10th right here in the village that launched and typed 1,000 novels, Sag Harbor. This is East End News on LTV.
We've also been keeping our eye on the Hamptons real estate market. And just how hot was the market in 2024? A look at the year's data shows that, for the first time, median house prices topped $2 million in several villages and hamlets here. Now, this is according to a year-end report by the William Ravis Agency, a relative newcomer to the market here after it acquired Town & Country Real Estate late last year. The agency reports that Montauk and Amagansett saw the biggest jumps in median prices. Montauk came in at around $2.1 million, up from $1.7 in 2023. Median prices in Amagansett spiked from $3 million in 2023 to more than $4.2 million last year. William Ravis calls this easternmost region a, quote, sleeping giant that has woken up. Median house prices in the greater Sag Harbor area, including Noyac and North Haven, also topped $2 million for the first time. The village of Sag Harbor was the only South Fork market to see any sort of decline, and even that was just down 4%. Also notable last year was a 35% increase in the number of house sales topping $10 million, while total transactions in the $20 million range fell by 11%. Home prices were definitely up, but the total number of actual sales across South Fork markets was down. The market recorded close to 1,700 deals in 2023, but about 140 fewer deals in 2024, a decline of 8%. The agency's regional director, Judy Desiderio, says that, quote, the Hamptons markets reflected national trends, which is unique since historically the Hamptons home sales trends tend to be contrarians. For each edition of East End News, LTV asks its friends and followers a question, and we report back on what we hear. This week's interactive issues question is one we asked you back in January. What kind of news do you want to hear more of? We received 275 responses, and the answers were pretty well distributed. 23% of respondents want more coverage of local happenings and upcoming events. You can see that in purple on the pie chart, and that's exactly what we've set out to achieve with East End News. 17% of respondents want to hear more about environmental issues, shown in pink. 23% want more public safety news. That's the light red slice on the pie chart. Two categories received an approximately equal number of replies. 11% of respondents wanted more news about local politics and government, and another 11% want to hear more uplifting or good news. Those replies are in yellow and green on the pie chart. The remaining percent of respondents were divided among other categories such as education, immigration, and business news. We'll post a new survey question for you to answer on our social media channels soon. It's time now for a little trip back in time.
You're watching East End News on LTV, East Hampton's public access television station. Each week we bring you a little snippet of history from our archive, which is accessible to the community thanks to the East Hampton Library via its digital Long Island collection. Today it's fitting to share these scenes from the private home movie collection of Fraser Dougherty, the charismatic co-founder of LTV Studios. These scenes date back to the late 1940s, about 20 years after the incorporation of East Hampton Village. Here you can see cars that today we call vintage, with a lot less traffic on the roads, as well as lush greenery surrounding Town Pond, before several of the historic trees were lost to disease over the years. Fraser Dougherty, who had been a B-52 pilot during World War II, died in 2023 at the age of 101.
Our friend Drew Budd from 27east.com was in the house as the Southampton High School boys varsity basketball team and the Pearson High School girls varsity basketball team saw some intense postseason action this week.
The Southampton boys varsity basketball team advanced in the Suffolk County Class A playoffs with an 83-41 win over Kings Park on Monday night. Alex Franklin, who's only a junior, scored a career-best 37 points for the Mariners. Ranked at the top of the bracket, Southampton goes on to play 4th-seeded Miller Place on Wednesday, March 5th. That game's going to be at Longwood High School at 6:30 p.m. And in a Suffolk County Class B semifinal game, the Pearson girls varsity hoopsters lost a close one to North Fork rival Mattituck after leading the first three quarters. The final score was 48-46 in favor of the Tuckers, who were led by junior Claire McKenzie with 20 points. The Pearson Whalers were led by freshman Josie Mott, who also scored 20.
The spring high school sports season is just around the corner. We'll bring you the highlights when that action gets underway. Thanks for watching this week's East End News Show. I'm Christine Sampson, and we'll see you again soon on LTV.